In my years as chairman of NDDB, there was one experiment in corporatization which failed. One day in 1987, the chairman of a milk cooperative in the Rann of Kutch visited me at Anand and narrated the heart-rending plight of the salt farmers of his region. About 60% of India's salt is produced in the state of Gujarat, and yet most of us here do not know of the harsh lives of the salt workers. Their situation, particularly in the little Rann of Kutch, is very depressing. The salt workers have settled down in this arid, merciless desert where there is not a tree in sight. The villagers dig a hole in the ground, pump the water up and make a salt pan on some 2 hectares of land and farm salt. They work there for 10 months a year producing salt, but they have to buy water from the merchant to whom they ultimately sell the salt they produce. To get diesel for their pump, they have to again depend on the same merchant. The salt worker finally gets 2 paise per kilo of salt from the merchant. There are no trees, no shelter for them, no schooling for the children. Long hours of working barefoot in the pans saturates their legs so much with salt that these farmers cannot even have a satisfactory cremation after death because their lower limbs do not burn. It is a miserable existence. I confess that I was so depressed on listening to this tale of horror from the cooperative's chairman and so dispirited to see that even after decades of independence, such exploitation of our poor people continued that I simply told the chairman to leave because I did not want to hear any more. I told him there was nothing we could do for the salt farmers, that we had enough problems of our own to tackle at NDDB. 2 days later, very tragically, this chairman died in a car accident. I was dismayed that I had been so unsympathetic during our last meeting, and I thought that as a tribute to his memory, NDDB should enter the salt sector. We began the task of organizing the salt farmers of the little Rann of Kutch. We started improving the quality of the salt and marketing it. During the first year, we managed to produce and market 10,000 tons of salt. In the second year, it went up to 25,000 tons, in the third year to 45,000, and then up to 100,000 tons. We tried to bring power through solar cells. We tried to provide medical facilities, water for drinking and bathing. It was a project that aimed to improve the overall quality of life of these salt farmers. However, within a few years, we realized that we were able to market the salt through the cooperatives only to the extent so as to get the salt farmers about 5 paise per kilogram. This was marginally more than what they were getting earlier. By this time, the Tatas began marketing iodized salt, which was of very good quality, and we felt that our project was not working out as it should. It was not making a basic difference to the lives of the salt workers. We had to, even if reluctantly, give up trying and wind up the project. Till this day, I look back at this failed experiment with an acute sense of helplessness.